What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne, and this is Blackboard Gaming, where I teach you about all these great board games that are out there, waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't want a complication. Complication.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to my board game wrap-up video for the month of June. I got to play 14 board games in the month of June, and I pretty much enjoyed all of them, for the most part. Now, of course, I want to share that with you, and I'm going to do it in two parts. I'm going to tell you about the games that I played here at home on my own, and then I'm going to share with you games that I played with my Friday night board game group and introduce to people up at the board game store. So, without wasting any time, let's get right to it. So the first game I want to talk about is a game that I picked up over in Vegas when my wife and I went to Dice Tower West. There's a board game store there called the Gaming Goat, which I make it a point to visit every time we're in Vegas. And the game I'm talking about is called Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game. And I picked this up because it is published by a board game publisher, Sashi and Sashi, which I really enjoy a lot of their games. So in this game, it's a roll and write. And what you're doing is you're trying to create this bus route on the map. And you're picking up and, it's a pick up deliver. You are drawing this route out and you are taking commuters or college students, the elderly, and you're drawing this route to make your route more efficient, trying to take into account the traffic congestion and all that. And so on your turn, you're the star player, you roll 6 dice. It's a 2-player game. You roll 6 dice, and then you pick 3 of those, and then the second player picks 1, and then vice versa. It flips, and the game lasts for 24 rounds. And at the end of the game, whoever has you scored the most points by building the best bus route is the winner. Now, I played this like two-handed, and then I played it solo. So I ended up playing it like 3 times. And I really like this game. Now, I think I'm going to try to get my wife to check it out, because once I tell her what the theme is or whatever. But, roll and write, she doesn't really gravitate towards those. And I don't either. It's some that I really enjoy, but it's not, my go-to. But Let's Make a Bus Route, the dice game, is a really fun game. I really enjoyed that game. The next game I want to talk about is Viticulture, or rather, Viticulture with the cooperative expansion, Viticulture World. Now, I got a review copy of this game, and I wanted to check it out because I love viticulture. We just did a video talking about like our favorite work mechanics and our favorite game with that mechanic, and viticulture would have been my second choice. My first choice was Anachrony, but viticulture is like in my top 5 games of all time, and I was excited to try out this expansion because it's cooperative, And so I played it 3 times. There's a solo mode to it. And it just reminded me of how elegant this game is, One of the differences that they have that I love is your workers can put on these little hats, like blue hats and yellow hats. And so the ones with the yellow hats, they can only work during spring and summer, where the blue hats, they can only work through the winter, But if you go and train that worker, then you get to remove the hat. And so now that worker can go anywhere. And I love that little addition to the game. I really enjoy Viticulture World. I'm going to go into more detail about this game when I do introduce it to my wife. And I think she's going to really love it because we're working cooperatively, which I don't think that's a big deal for her because she just really likes viticulture. So competitive or cooperative, as long as she's playing that game. But yeah, Viticulture World, it is a really great expansion. So let's move on. The next game I want to talk about is the Grand Carnival. Now, like I said, we did the video with our favorite mechanics and tile placement. You know, I said my favorite, I got Arc Nova on the brain. You know, but tile placement, Grand Carnival probably will be my top choice. I'm gonna be honest, because in this game you're building up like an old school carnival. But what makes this game cool is it not only does it have tile placement, but it also has polyomino tile placement. So you have to put down the sites that had the little construction sites, but you have to put them in a way where you can put the polyomino tiles on top of them. You build out the construction sites where you can build out the different attractions in your park. And if you have construction sites that are open at the end of the game, you lose points for those. So I really do love the Grand Carnival. And what made me pull this out is there's an expansion coming out for it called On the Road, Grand Carnival On the Road. And it introduces, certain little things you could add to the game, like peanuts or clowns or stuff like that, or the golden ticket, and I'm excited to really implement those, check those out. But Grand Carnival, I really loved it. I played it solo like twice, and it just reminded me how much I really love the Grand Carnival. So the last game that I played here at home, I'm gonna save for the end of the video, and there's a good reason for that, as you'll see. Now, unfortunately, I played a lot the games here at home. I played them like solo or two-handed because my wife Alicia, it was the month of June. Her school didn't end until like the last couple of days of June. So, she was busy doing a lot of making sure the grades are in and making sure all her I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And she kept saying, like, I'm going to make it up to you once I get past this. We're going to play a lot of games in July. And I was like, okay, you're fine. Just, do what you got to do. I'm going to get some games played. So I'm going to jump right into some games that I've been introducing to people. So the first game that I want to talk about is a game that my friend Deb, she went to Origins. I was unable to go due to family obligations, and she brought back Green Team Wins for me. Now, Green Team Wins, I love this game. Is really, really fun. People are saying it is the next Just One, which is a game that we love to introduce to people, and I think I would maybe agree with that because it's just a silly game. So in Green Team Wins, everybody starts the game on the orange team. There are two teams, green team, orange team. Everybody starts on the orange team. And what you're trying to do is get on the green team because that's the only way you're going to score points. But there are like category cards that come out. Like one is this or that, or this one is like, for example, who do you think would make a better king? The Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, or the Tin Man? Or fill in the blank cards. And so you're trying to come up with an answer, but it doesn't have to be the right answer. It just has to be an answer that's in the majority. Because when everybody reveals their cards, and this is a competitive game, when everybody reveals their cards, who the most answers, those people get on the green team and they score points. If you happen to already be on the green team, you score 2 points. And if you aren't in the majority, you stay on the orange team or you go to the orange team and you score no points. And this lasts like 15 rounds. And then once the game's over, whoever has the most points wins the game. I introduced this twice. And we really enjoyed this game. It is so silly. So I would suggest definitely, if you want to bring some people into the hobby and a good party game, Green Team Wins is a great one. The next one that I introduced is a game that I talked about before. And this game is called Dice Miner. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But real quick, Dice Miner, you're drafting dice from this mountainside and you're trying to score points based on the white dice. You have to put them in sequence, or they're finding gems, or you trying to deal with certain hazards, but do you have the tools to deal with those hazards? Because those tools will turn those hazards from negative points to positive points. And like, this game is a quick, get it in where you can fit it in game, lasts maybe like 20 minutes, and I've introduced this to 2 groups of people, and they've thoroughly enjoyed it, And I think a person in one group went and bought the game, So Dice Miner, I just love bringing that one. That is just a really cool, nice game. The next game I want to talk about is another game that I talked about during a wrap-up video, and that is Maglev Metro. And I introduced this to my Friday night game group, and we did a 4-player game, and it's long for a 4-player game. I probably would stick to 2, maybe 3 at the most, but 4 players, it is a long game. So in Maglev Metro, it's a pick up and deliver. You are building out this like state-of-the-art subway system, and you got these nice little match Hot Wheel type cars that holds the commuters, and you're building out track and delivering these folks to where they need to go. So Maglev Metro is, my wife really loves Maglev Metro. We need to get that back to the table, but the one thing I got to point out is, we did a review video for Maglev Metro, and I talked about how the gold workers, the people, the little meeples that you're delivering, the gold people look close to the bronze people. They were like really close together. It's hard to tell them apart. So the guys at Bezier Games sent me replacement bronze folks, which were distinctively different than the gold. And I really appreciate that. They listen and say, hey, here you go. You're an old man and this helps you out. No, I know they didn't say that, but so Maglev Metro, the people loved it. They did it. They did really like Maglev Metro. It's just kind of long at 4 players, so keep that in mind. The next game I want to talk about is a game that I introduced to 2 separate groups, and that game is Paint the Roses. Now, keep in mind, my wife was not part of any of those groups, so she just, I tried to show it to her, and she just doesn't do deduction. She was like, I'm good, I'm okay with that, I'm not good at it, I don't want to be guessing, but the groups that I introduced it to, they really enjoyed it. And so in Paint the Roses, you are pretty much trying to, build up the Queen's Garden, the Queen of Hearts. Is set in the Alice of Wonderland world. And the Queen of Hearts is chasing you because she mad that her garden ain't right. So she's chasing you. If she catches you, then it's off with your head, which is a little extreme. I agree. But anyway, what we're trying to do is plant her garden, but everybody has these whim cards that are unknown to everybody else. So you take a tile that has either 2 shapes or 2 colors, or it can have a shape to a color, and you put it out into the garden, and then you put your player cubes out on that tile to show how many matches you have to adjacent tiles. And then people are trying to guess, like, what is the whim card that you have, and if you guess right, you get to move on the board. But if you guess wrong, the queen kind of speeds up, because the queen is moving all the time, and as the game progresses, she continues to get faster. So if you guess wrong, she's gonna double her movement. So you're trying to stay ahead of the queen, because if she catches you, it's game over. Now, the first time the first group I showed this to, we won. We actually won, and then the second group, we played it twice, and we got demolished. But I really enjoyed Paint the Roses. It's just a great, if you're into deduction, you gotta make sure that if you like that kind of mechanic in a game, Paint the Roses is a great game to try out. Before I go into games that were new to me, that was introduced to me by my Friday night game group, I want to talk about a game that we actually got to play, which is one that me and my wife have played before, but we need to get that one back to the table, and that one is Canvas. So we did a review for that one. And Canvas is like a card crafting game where you're building up these paintings, trying to score ribbons, throughout the game. And it's drafting. You're drafting these see-through cards to slide to create your painting. And it just reminded me of how beautiful and just, this game is just really, really beautiful, ingenious rather, where you're crafting cards. And so I really enjoyed to play through it. I think I won that one because I was so used to it, and me and my wife need to get that one back to the table. And like I said, if you have not tried Canvas by now, you need to search that one out. And I think you and your family would really love it. The next 5 games I want to talk about are games that I've only played once. So these are more like first impressions, like what my thoughts are on these games. So the first game is a game called The Tree-Lined Avenue. Now, Alicia and I, like I said, we went out to Sylvan Game Factory, which is a new board game store out in Ann Arbor. And while we were there, we were introduced to this game. It's a little game. And in this game, we are gardeners who are building up this garden, or this park rather, and we're building a 6x6 grid of cards. And so on our turn, we go and draft these tree cards. The thing is, where we draft the tree cards dictates our turn order for the next round. So we have to be aware of that. And how we score points, we have like 3 gardeners, and we have the option of putting our gardener out into the park, because the gardener scores for each row or column of the same type of trees. Now, we played it and we liked it enough to pick it up. Like I said, it wasn't an expensive game. It was only about $20. And we picked it up because I want to explore this game more. Because first of all, it's a game from a publisher in Japan. So that had me. And then I love the art on it. The art is really nice. I really enjoyed the art style of this game. So we bought it. We're going to give it another shot. And we're going to let you guys know moving forward what we think about this game. This next game I was introduced to at my Friday night board game meetup. And that game is called Gutenberg. So I was interested in Gutenberg when I first heard about it because it had a unique theme that I found attractive. In this game, we are pioneers of printing in the 15th century. And what we are doing is we are going out, getting jobs, and drafting inks, and using these little wooden font tokens, which I think is probably the best part of the game. And we are completing these jobs. And we can use the fonts to complete the jobs, but if we have certain inks or certain skills, then we get bonuses that will net us more points or some different abilities that'll help us in the game. And I really do like how when we do our actions, it's like a bidding thing. So we have these screens and we have these black cubes, and we bid on who's gonna take that action first with these black cubes. Like, we put a certain number. So the more cubes you put in those action slots, then you'll be the first one to go through that action. So, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5 or 6 different actions. Now, I did like this game. It is just a dry Euro game, but like I said, the theme had me. And I like those little wooden font tokens. So it has a solo mode, so maybe I might get a chance to play it again to really just learn how to play it more, explore this game more. And that is Gutenberg. The next game I was introduced to is a game called Dice Realms. Now, we played Canvas that same night. Like I said, Canvas is a card crafting game. Dice Realms, we're crafting dice. And, that's something I really hadn't, I've seen it in a couple of games, so I was interested in it. And what we're doing is we're rolling dice, and based on the faces of the dice, we get a certain amount of money, and then we could buy different faces for the dice, So you kind of look like deck building with dice. And I don't know. I like the concept of dice crafting, but in this game you're constantly crafting. So I felt like it was just a little more work than I wanted to, I guess, because you roll. Oh, okay, now and it was easy to take the faces off the dice and put on new faces, but you're doing that through the whole game. So, I liked it. I will play it again, but, it's not something that, it does have a high price point. But, Dice Realms, I liked it. I will play it again, The next game is a game with a mechanic that I really am not a big fan of. And that game is called Ruination. So Ruination is an area control game set in a post-apocalyptic world where you got dudes on the map, And, they introduced to this game. And like I said, I want to try everything. I will give it a shot, even if it's something I don't really gravitate to. And I actually did like this game, what I love about it is when you choose an action, you go to gather resources or to build up, you recruit your folks to put them on the map, then there's a particular card that's random, and that gives you an extra action you can do. And I think I actually won that game, which was a surprise because, like I said, I usually don't do well at those type of games, area control and your dice rolling and all that. But I think the game was beautiful on the table. I love the little miniatures and all that. So Ruinations, I would play it again. The next game is a dice drafting game called Monsters on Board. So in Monsters on Board, we each have our own little group of monsters, the classic monsters, like you got your mummy, you got your vampire, and you got Frankenstein or whatever. And we are using dice to try to move them through the town to scare up spook juice, which I think, if I remember correctly, is our victory points in the game. And, what I like, first of all, the game is aesthetically beautiful. I like the fact that, in the base game, how we drafted our dice, we roll our dice, we each have 4 dice, and then we put it in these little cardboard cards and pass it to the next player. But Ted got the Kickstarter version, so it had the little plastic cards, and I love that because it looked like the little cards from the Monsters or from the Addams Family or whatever. And so my first impressions of this game, first of all, I didn't do too well. And I think it's because, this game is a lot to take in because it's pretty much a point solid. So you're trying to figure out what's the best way to score points, I don't know. I thought it was okay. I'll be willing to revisit it because, like I said, I love the aesthetics of the game. I like the little theme because I enjoy a good spooky game, And I'll check this one out. So that is Monsters on Board. So I told you that there was a game that I wanted to wait to the end of the video to tell you guys about. And this is the last game I'm going to talk about. And this is the game that I have played the most in the month of June. And I played it about 10 times. And that is this game right here. Let me say that. Take a breath. Guild of Merchant Explorers. It's not that long of a name, but So, in Guild of Merchant Explorers, it is a flip and write. But you're not writing, you're placing cubes out on this map of a fantasy land, you know. And when you flip a card and it shows a different certain terrain, you get to place a cube on that terrain. And what you're trying to do is earn coins, which is points. So you earn coins from, like, if you fill up a terrain type, you get to place a village there, because in the beginning of the game, you can only place cubes on your center city or on previously adjacent cubes. But as you move through the game, you get to place villages, and then next rounds you get to place cubes starting at your villages. So it just widens your exploration area. And there are terrains that have money on them, so whenever you place a cube on those, coins on them rather, you place a cube on those, you get coins from that. There are cities, if you complete trade routes by connecting these two cities with the coins, you get to coins from that. There are certain goals that you get coins from. There are ruins and wreckages out in the sea that if you place a cube there, you explored it, you draw a treasure card, and you get coins. It might give you a certain, allow you to place a cube anywhere on the map, or give you coins per villages you've built up. And then there's towers that you get to, if you place a cube on a tower spot, then you get to place a tower there and you earn a certain amount of coins there. And I mean, this is a really quick game, and that's why I've been playing it so much. Because once you know how the game goes, you can play this game in less than 20 minutes, And I've played it 10 times. Twice, once with my wife, once with Ted, and the rest of the time I've been playing solo. I've just been pull this game out and play it real quick. Now, you're wondering, like, okay, he done played this game 10 times. Why does it still have a wrap on it? Well, because I am going to do my very first board game giveaway. I went and picked up another copy of this game because I wanted to, like, do something to thank everybody who watch my videos and sits through my ramblings, because like I said, I know I'm not as eloquent as some of the other board game content creators, but it's just something I love to do. I love telling people about board games. And so I've been trying to think of a question. First of all, this is just in North America because I'm shipping this, I'm trying to think of a question that it would include people who are still newer to board games. So I think that what I'm going to say is in the comments below, tell me what board game that my wife and I have talked about on this channel that has piqued your interest, that has made you like, you know what, I want to check that game out, and I will take that, your name, your moniker down in the comments, and I'm gonna put it in the hat, and we're gonna randomly draw, and then we're taking a break for a couple weeks. So when we come back, we're actually gonna talk about this game, and at that time, I'm gonna draw a name out the hat and tell you who won this game, and then that person is gonna email me, and I will ship it to them, and I hope, like I said, I just want to thank you guys for always, keeping up with the channel. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I really enjoy doing it. So, if you like the content of this video, feel free to hit the like button. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And like I said, I'm Dwayne. This has been Blackboard Gaming, and I will see you next time.